Nothing changes outside until something changes inside. Not the job, not the relationship, not the financial situation, not the quality of the opportunities that appear, not the way other people treat you, not the direction the days seem to want to go. None of it changes until the person at the center of all of it changes. You. James Allen wrote that a man is literally what he thinks, that his character is the complete sum of all his thoughts. And what he meant was not that positive thinking produces magical results. He meant something more precise and more demanding than that. He meant that the outer world is always a reflection of the inner one. That the quality of your life is always the expression of the quality of your thinking, your habits, your identity, and your relationship with your own commitment. And if any of those things remain unchanged, the outer world will remain unchanged too. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for something outside to change first. They wait for the right opportunity, the right circumstances, the right moment when everything aligns in their favor and change finally becomes possible. But that moment does not arrive on its own. It arrives when you change. And the change does not require a year or a decade or a complete overhaul of everything you have built. It requires 7 days. 7 days of making different decisions, building different habits, directing your attention differently, and choosing a different version of yourself to show up as. Not perfectly, not without difficulty, not without the ongoing temptation to return to the familiar, but consistently, intentionally, with the clear understanding that the person you are becoming in these 7 days is the person your life will start reflecting back to you. This is not motivation. This is a process. And by the time this video is over, you will understand exactly how to begin. The first change, the one that everything else depends on, does not happen in your calendar or your habits or your environment. It happens in how you see yourself, your identity. And this is the change that almost everyone skips. Because changing your habits feels concrete. You can write it down, you can track it, you can see whether you did it or not. But becoming a different version of yourself feels abstract, invisible, difficult to measure. So most people skip it. They go straight to the techniques and the systems and the productivity strategies, and they wonder why those things work for a week and then stop working. They stop working because the person applying them has not changed. The habits were new. The person running them was the same. And the same person always returns to the same patterns, because patterns are not just behaviors. They are expressions of identity. The behaviors follow the identity as naturally as water follows gravity. So if you want different behaviors that last, you need a different identity to run them. James Allen wrote that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And what he understood was that the heart, the deep interior sense of who you are and what is possible for you, is the source from which everything else flows. Change the source and the stream changes. Leave the source unchanged and no amount of effort applied to the stream will produce anything different for long. So here is the first practice for these 7 days. Every morning before anything else, ask yourself one question. Who am I choosing to be today? Not what do I need to accomplish, not what is on the list, not what obligations are waiting. Who am I being as I move through this day? Patient, focused, disciplined, present, someone who keeps their word, someone who moves toward difficulty rather than away from it. Whatever quality is most relevant to the version of yourself you're trying to build. Name it, hold it, and then check in with it throughout the day. Not to judge yourself when you fall short, but to return to the choice when you drift from it. Because the return is the practice. Every time you drift and return, you're training the identity. Every time you catch yourself operating from the old version and choose the new one, even in the smallest moment, you are casting a vote for who you are becoming. And votes accumulate. 7 days of accumulated votes for a better version of yourself produces something that no single dramatic moment of motivation ever could. A quiet, internal shift in who you fundamentally believe yourself to be. And once that shifts, everything that flows from it shifts too. Now let's talk about the second change, the one that most people understand intellectually and almost never apply correctly. Habits. But not habits as a list of things to do. Habits as something much more significant than that. Habits as daily votes for your identity. Every action you repeat tells your mind something about who you are. Not who you want to be, not who you intend to be. Who you are. And the mind builds its understanding of your identity not from your intentions, but from your behaviors repeated over time. When you make a commitment to yourself, and you keep it, even a small one, even when it is inconvenient, even when no one would know if you did not, you are telling your mind something. I am someone who can be trusted to keep my word. And that message, received and reinforced through consistent action, becomes the foundation of confidence. Not confidence that was handed to you, not confidence that comes from success arriving. Confidence that was built in the private moments when you chose the harder right thing over the easier wrong one. When you make a commitment and you do not keep it, the opposite message is sent. I am someone who cannot be trusted to keep my word. And that message, also reinforced through consistent action, becomes the foundation of doubt. Not doubt that others imposed on you. Doubt that you built yourself, one broken commitment at a time. James Allen wrote that the strong, calm person is always loved and respected, and the calmness he was pointing at is not the absence of challenge. It is the internal steadiness of someone who has kept enough commitment to themselves that they trust their own word. And trust in your own word is the most powerful foundation you can build anything on. So for these 7 days, the practice is simple but demanding. Choose one commitment small enough to keep every day. Not an impressive one, not one designed to demonstrate anything to anyone. One that is genuinely achievable and genuinely uncomfortable enough to require something from you. And keep it every day for 7 days. Not because the habit itself will change your life in 7 days, but because keeping it will change how you see yourself. And how you see yourself will change everything that comes after. There was a man named Arthur. He had been trying to build discipline for years with the familiar pattern of strong starts and quiet collapses. Every system he tried worked for a while and then stopped working. Not because the systems were wrong, because he kept applying them to the same identity. The identity of someone who tries things and eventually returns to the baseline. One day, he made a different kind of decision. Instead of choosing a new system, he chose one small commitment so unglamorous and so doable that failure felt almost embarrassing. He committed to making his bed every morning. That was it. Not because making your bed changes your life, but because every morning he made it, he sent a message to his mind. I said I would do this, and I did it. And that message, small as it was, started a chain reaction. Because the mind that learns it can trust itself in one small thing starts to believe it can trust itself in larger things. And from that belief, the larger commitments stop collapsing the way they always had before. James Allen wrote that the body is the servant of the mind. And what Arthur discovered was that the mind had been serving a broken narrative about who he was. And changing that narrative required not a dramatic gesture, but a small daily vote, repeated until it became the evidence of a new story. Now let's talk about the third change, the one that most people dramatically underestimate. Your environment. You can have the strongest motivation, the clearest identity, the most carefully chosen habits. And if the environment you live in is pulling you back toward who you used to be, the motivation will fade, the identity will erode, and the habits will collapse. Because the environment does not just influence you, it programs you. Every conversation you hear, regularly becomes part of the background assumption of what is normal. Every piece of content you consume regularly becomes part of the lens through which you see what is possible. Every person you spend significant time with becomes part of the standard against which you measure your own choices. And if the conversations are about why things are difficult and why change is unrealistic, if the content reinforces the idea that the life you want is for other people, if the people around you are most comfortable with the version of you that you're trying to leave behind, then you're fighting the environment every single day. And fighting the environment takes energy. Energy that could be going into building. James Allen wrote that the man who does not control his thoughts is controlled by them. And the thoughts that are hardest to control are the ones that come from an environment that is constantly reinforcing the old patterns. So for these 7 days, the practice is not to change everyone and everything around you. It is to become conscious of what you are allowing in. What are the first 3 things you expose your mind to in the morning? Are they building the identity you're trying to create? Or are they reinforcing the one you are trying to leave? What are the conversations you're having most regularly? Are they about what is possible and what is being built? Or are they about what is wrong and who is to blame? What content are you consuming most consistently? Is it expanding your sense of what is available to someone like you? Or is it reducing it? You do not have to make dramatic changes to your entire life in 7 days. You have to become honest about what your current environment is telling your mind every day and make one deliberate adjustment. One thing you stop allowing and that was pulling you back. One thing you start allowing and that pulls you forward. That adjustment, made for 7 days, changes the quality of the thinking that is available to you. And changed thinking produces changed behavior. And changed behavior produces a changed life. Now let's talk about the 4th change, and this one may be the most important of all, where you put your attention. Not your time, your attention, because time and attention are not the same thing. You can spend an hour on something while your attention is somewhere else entirely. And an hour of presence, of full engagement, of genuine attention directed at something that matters, is worth more than a day of distracted proximity to the same thing. James Allen wrote that you will be what you will to be, and the will is not separate from attention. The will is expressed through attention. Where you consistently direct your focus is where your will is actually operating. Everything else is just going through the motions. Most people are spending their most valuable resource, their attention, on things that they cannot change. The past, which is fixed. The future, which is not yet real. Other people's choices, which are entirely outside their control. And the circumstances that exist not because of what they are doing, but because of what they did before. All of that attention, directed at what cannot be changed, is attention not directed at what can. And what can be changed is always the same thing. The next decision, the next action, the next moment where you have a genuine choice about how to respond to what is in front of you. That is where your attention produces something real. Everything else just produces more of the feeling of being stuck. For these 7 days, the practice is to notice without judgment where your attention is going, not to force it away from everything difficult that is not possible and not the point, but to develop the habit of returning it to the question that actually matters. What do I do right now? Not what should have been done differently, not what might go wrong later, not what is unfair about the current situation. What can I do right now with what I have from where I am? That question, asked and answered consistently for 7 days, produces a quality of engagement with your own life that most people never experience. Because most people are too busy attending to everything outside the present moment to be fully present in it. And the present moment is the only place where anything actually gets built. James Allen wrote that the vision that you glorify in your mind, the ideal that you enthrone in your heart, this you will build your life by, And the building happens in the present, not in the planning of it, not in the worry about whether it will succeed. In the actual work of the next moment, done with full attention, in the direction of something that matters. Let me leave you with the truth that James Allen returned to again and again. You are not a passive recipient of whatever life decides to give you. You are the architect of the life you are living. And the blueprints are drawn not in your intentions, but in your daily choices. The choice of who you are being, the choice of what commitments you keep, the choice of what you allow into your environment, the choice of where you direct your most valuable resource. 7 days of making those choices deliberately, of waking up with intention instead of habit, of treating each day as a construction site rather than a waiting room, will not make you a different person by the end of it, but it will show you something more valuable than a result. It will show you who you are capable of being. And once you see that, once you have lived even 7 days as the version of yourself that makes different choices and holds different commitments and directs attention with genuine purpose, you cannot fully go back to not knowing. You cannot unsee it. James Allen wrote that you are today where your thoughts have brought you. You will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you. And the thoughts of the next 7 days are available to you right now. Not the thoughts of a perfect person, not the thoughts of someone who has everything figured out. The thoughts of someone who has decided to stop being the same person who produced the same results and has chosen simply and completely to become someone different. That decision does not require anyone's permission. It does not require the right circumstances. It does not require anything you do not already have. It requires only this: the choice to begin today, not tomorrow, not when things are more settled, not when you feel more ready. Now, because the version of you that your life is waiting to reflect has been waiting long enough. If this video moved something in you, like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear this and subscribe to the channel. There is so much more to explore together. See you in the next one.